Good morning, everybody. I hope that you are all well and you're staying safe during this time. I extend my welcome to you. It's from wherever you are tuning from this morning to our Lighthouse devotions. And if you are tuning in with us for the very first time, my name is Bayan Demoyo. I oversee the youth work at Lighthouse Church in Manchester, and I'm a graphic and web designer. And I also am a proud supporter of the biggest and the best football club in the whole entire world, and that is Manchester United. I am all these things, but these things don't define me. The one thing that matters is the fact that I am a child of God. In fact, these roles and titles don't determine who I am or who I've become. My past doesn't define me. People's opinions of me don't define me. My past mistakes don't define me. My body and my weight doesn't define me. And I want to ask you today this question. What are you allowing to define you? What is your identity rooted in this morning? Are you allowing your past mistakes to define you and therefore preventing you from accessing all that God has for your life? Are you allowing the season that you are in to imprison you? Often we allow our past mistakes to consume us, and therefore we end up rooting our identity in them and allowing guilt to limit our relationship with the true Creator. Also, when we root our identity in our titles and our jobs or the teams that we support, we find ourselves that when we lose those things, we don't have any peace, we have no purpose, or we're just walking around aimlessly. But when you root your identity in Him and His Word and the promises that God has for your life, you begin to look at the world and life in a different perspective. You no longer live for the applause of other people. You're no longer limited by your past experiences or your failures because you're a child of God. You have a God that sent His one and only Son so that you may be free and you no longer have to be a slave to any of your fears, to your past, or your current season or your current situation. The Bible says in John 15:16 that this is God speaking, this is Jesus speaking. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. In Romans 6, chapter 6, verse 6, it says, "For we know that our old self was crucified with Him, so that the body ruled by sin might not be done away with, that we should no longer be slaves to sin." In Genesis chapter 1:27, it says, "So God created mankind in His own image. In the image of God, He created them, male and female, He created them." And in Jeremiah 1:5, it says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." Listen, before you were born, He had a plan and a purpose for your life. And He sent His one and only Son to die on the cross so that you no longer have to live in shame and in guilt, so that you no longer have to root your identity in the things of this world, in the titles, in the roles that people give you. You no longer have to root your identity in your season or your current situation or your circumstances. Instead, He says, root your identity in me. I made you in my image. This is the word that you should abide by. These are the promises that I have made for you, and He is a faithful God, and His promises endureth forever. So I want to encourage you today that no matter what you're going through, no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what season you're in your life right now, He knows you and He knows your heart. And if you give your life to Him, and you have already given your life to Him, then root your identity in His word and in the promises that He has for your life, because therefore you start to look at the world in a different perspective, in a different light. You no longer live in fear. You no longer care about people's opinions. Roles and titles no longer define you. So this week, may you ask yourself this question: who am I? I am a child of God.